Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and I hope you had a lovely lunch. So, I'm Patice Talaue, and I'm originally from the Philippines, but now I'm based in Berlin, and I'm Green Destinations Training and Support Program Manager. So, for this afternoon session, we have climate action, mitigation, and adaptation. Obviously, my not voice is at the top, top condition. I'm usually more charming than than now it is with now, but I hope you can bear with me. And as I've been telling the panelists today, it's not gonna stop us from having a good discussion this afternoon. So let me start off with a presentation. Just a little bit about what we've been experiencing in Green Destinations to give a little bit of context of what we're doing. Yeah. So I want to start with some of the lessons that we've learned from the ACP destinations, or our awards and certification program members. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the other climate panel as well, but I think this is important to highlight for everyone. So, what are the highest scoring sub themes of the sustainability performance for destinations in our awards and certification program? So, the top one is human respect, people and tradition, and nature and animal experience. But our lowest scoring sub themes look into climate change adaptation, business involvement, energy, sustainable mobility, and climate change, which affects criteria that are actually some of the topics that we will be discussing today. So these are some of the lowest scoring or non-response criteria. When we say non-response, these are criteria that the destinations actually choose not to report on, either because they don't have it, or they know that they will not be compliant to it, or that they are still working on it. And excuse me, it doesn't affect their it doesn't affect the possibility for them to get an award or certification, but it affects their level of award or certificate of or certification that they get. So these are some of the lowest scoring or non-response criteria, which is responding to climate risks, energy consumption for enterprises, greenhouse gas emissions for enterprises, greenhouse gas emissions and climate change mitigation, which is essentially this panel, and reducing transport emissions from travel. So just with some of the research and some of the things that we've done in the past as well, these are just some of the top elements of or the barriers that were mentioned to us, barriers of going green and going resource efficient. So the first one is the complexity of regulatory measures, and I can imagine that how it can go as well for adaptation and mitigation, the cost of environmental actions, and also recruitment. So this is based on a survey done by the European Commission. So this is applicable for the EU. But I come from the Philippines, and I can say that these are also some of the top excuse me, some of the top reasons why there are a lot of people who don't even know where to start. People, businesses, and even destinations, they just don't know where to start. And these are some of the barriers that we think we can address, and hopefully we can discuss also today on how we can address them. So from the Green Destinations perspective, we have some tools to provide support to destinations and businesses. So one of them is a benchmarking and reporting tool for sustainability key performance indicators. We also have the destination carbon footprint calculator, but for now, this is only available in select destinations in Europe. But this is the one report that we made for Slovenia. And we also have a climate risk assessment. So looking at which areas are vulnerable to climate risks. But I'm happy that our panelists today will have more about some of these. And so what I hope to get into discussion today, this afternoon, with this panel is look at the challenges and the opportunities that we can tap and that we can address. So number one, of course, as I mentioned, the lack of resources. There are a lot of people who lacking the technical knowledge, technical awareness. So how do we make it accessible for more people, for destination managers who are already facilitating a lot of things? We mentioned earlier in the panel as well. We've heard so many DMOs saying that, oh, we have other priorities, or that DMOs are saying that I'm the only one in my team, or we're only three people, and how can we invest time? And later, hopefully, we can get into the discussion of that. And of course, we all know that there's a need for policy and regulatory support on how we can support adaptation and mitigation policies. Of course, with research and data collection, the first panel this morning, we were talking about the struggles and the challenges of data availability for carbon footprint measurement. And I can also imagine, even with the breadth of information that we already have for risks and vulnerable for climate risks and vulnerability, there's still many destinations who really can't make sense of all that. Um, and lastly, of course, with collaboration. How do we work with communities? How do we work with each other? I really found it very interesting this morning what Anna Pollock said. You know, it's time for us to all get together, stop looking at competition. And I even forced the panel this morning earlier. They're coming from different companies. How can you work with each other? How can you collaborate? Because I think it's also a good point of discussion for everyone. How can we really start work? How can we really start working together? How can we really start collaborating and take actionable steps so that we can address all the crisis, polycrisis, what I've learned today that we are facing. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.